to the Danny.
Yeah, Riana show. This is Danny Pena, Rihanna's husband.
And this is Riana Manuel Pena, Danny's wife. And Danny, today I have a really cool experience to talk about thanks to you. Do you want to tell people what you hooked up for me?
Yes, so Netflix invited us to check out a screening of the new Wallace and Gromit movie that is coming out, I believe, in January. But we got an early screening of the movie, and yeah, shout out to Netflix for inviting us to check out the screening. I know a couple weeks ago I went to Amazon. Now you went to Netflix, so
Yeah.
it's cool that we're getting these type of invites, from
It
the
is,
film and
and
TV industry.
absolutely. And for folks who are still following along in our consulting journey, Danny and Rihanna are also DNR Media Consulting. And we are talking to more entertainment-based clients, so people in the film, TV, and actually comics industries. So it's really cool to be expanding into this new growth area of entertainment and making more in that media connection. So as Danny mentioned, we were invited to go to Netflix offices, and because we weren't able to get childcare, he stayed behind with baby Violet and did bedtime because this was a late event.
Mm-hmm.
But I went along because Wallace and Gromit actually has a very special place in my heart. I used to make stop motion animation videos with my aunt as a kid. So we took a lot of inspiration from Wallace and Gromit. We used to watch those movies together, and it is a very nostalgic thing from my childhood. So I was really excited to go and see this premiere. And as Danny mentioned, this movie is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Fowl. The film has a world premiere at AFI Fest in October, but this will stream on Netflix in January 3rd. And for folks who don't know about Wallace and Gromit, it's created by director Nick Park, who is Emmy Award nominated, Emmy Award winning, and the director is Merlin Crossingham, who is Emmy Award nominated. So these people know what they're doing. They make really, really lovely, lighthearted, but still poignant films that can reach both kids and adults. And I really like that kind of content. And especially now that we have our daughter, I'm looking forward to showing her stuff like this in the future. So the visit to Netflix was really cool because
I was going to ask you that. So how was that process? And also, like, was it a lot of people there also checking out the early screening, or what?
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a video on my own personal channels. Follow me at the Riana MP. It's TheRiana MP everywhere. But the process is really smooth. They gave me a parking registration, so I was in the system. So I drive up. There's a gate, and they check everybody's IDs. It's very secure because there are, of course, actual actors and producers and directors there. And I did see some famous people. And you drive up, you give them your ID, they check you in the system, and then they give you a parking sticker. And then you go in for me, you go in the garage, or you could valet if you want. And it's a very big parking lot, and it wasn't super full because it was the end of the workday. But when I walked in, the front doors are all glass, and so you can see into it. But when you walk in, you see they have this huge video wall that kind of cycles between different, like, giant lobby-sized billboards of all of the different Netflix shows and movies that they have. So it was really, really cool. It kept updating, and every time it would go dark in between scenes, the whole room would get dark because it's this giant LED wall. But you walk in, you have this big, huge, grand entrance in the lobby. You go over to a kiosk and actually check in with security and just type your name in, and they say, so and so is your escort. Just wait for them in the lobby. And you're like, oh, cool. I have an escort. And so then I sat down in the lobby for a sec. Well, before I sat down in the lobby, I went to grab water. They have snacks and water and coffee and stuff. And as I did, I passed like some of the display stuff they have. They have artifacts from different Netflix shows and movies and like display cases that you can check out. They have custom poster and art of different Netflix properties. But honestly, one of the most impressive things is they have this giant plant wall with all of their Emmy awards.
That's cool. Yeah, I seen the video. The video looks sick.
Oh my God. They have so many Emmys. And you think about it, you're like, oh, of course Netflix has won a bunch of awards, but it is overwhelming. Like this is like floor to ceiling, like the size of the giant building, like all wall to wall awards that they have won, and it's just really impressive. And there's even like a little plaque that talks about it, which is really cool.
That's
But yeah,
cool.
the lobby design is gorgeous, and I had a really good time, honestly, just looking around, waiting for the event to start. But eventually, our escort came and got us, and they took us past the security gate, which you cannot film past. So, unfortunately, I don't have a cool shot of me sitting in the theater with the red chairs, but it was really neat. The chairs were super comfy, and the
Cool.
screen is really big. Obviously, it's a theater, and the sound was wonderful. It was maybe like, I think it was maybe a Dolby theater,
Oh, okay.
but it sounded great. And you sit down and they give you a little spiel about the film you're about to see. As I said, coming out on Netflix January 3rd, and from Nick Park and Merlin Crossingham. And they don't really give you much else. Like they just kind of said, oh, it's Wallace and Gromit. And they didn't give us like a preview of like what we're going to see in the film. They just kind of let us experience it, which I liked. And yeah, they do a little ding dong doom on their phone. The lights go down and then the film starts playing. So it was a really cool experience. And once it was over, everybody clapped. And of course, because these are people who work in media, and you asked how many people were there, I would say it was maybe like 30 or so people. Everybody waited for the credits to roll because they respect the art form, they respect the work. And yeah, once it was over, our host said that our escort said that they would be in the lobby if we had any questions. And I asked if we could do a follow-up interview. So hopefully we can get somebody from the team, either Nick or Merlin or somebody else, to talk
Sure.
about the film when it gets closer to release.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Also, how long was the movie, by the way?
The film is 90 something minutes. I think 92, I want to say.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that because, of course it may change. But yeah, it was, the runtime was normal. It felt snappy, and without doing too much, of reviewing the film, I don't want to take the experience away from anybody. It was absolutely gorgeous. So things that I loved about this, I love about all of the Wallace and Gromit films, but they've updated it to today, which is really exciting.
Mm.
So there's little things like, you actually see this in Lego Horizon as well, or any of the Lego games, but because it's clay animation, the mixed media, but primarily clay stop motion animation, you can see fingerprints in like the textures of like the clothes and the faces and the body parts of the characters. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's such a nice, sweet detail. It's like you can see this was literally made by hand, like
That's
someone's
cool.
hand posed every single frame of this, and it was really, really gorgeous. And the humor is still there, like your classic British humor, very funny, lots and lots of puns, which is really good. Like there's a couple of those moments that you see in especially a lot of kids comedy where there's a joke for the grown-ups hidden in there, where they'll say such and something butts, and you're like, what? But yeah, the
Mhm.
kids don't get the joke, but the adults do. So they definitely had a lot of that still. I can say that the returning character of was it Feathers is your your main antagonist, which is really funny because they have a lot of tropes that they play with on a really evil character, a really bad villain, but they still play for comedy sometimes in certain moments, which is really effective. But the way that they've updated it to today is really interesting because there are a couple jokes about like how you sign into an internet portal, or there's a joke about Photoshop. Like they've actually like kind of brought it into today's world. And it's nice to see Wallace and Gromit updated that way because, of course, it could be looked at as something that's a little bit more nostalgic or an older crowd, but they really did make it accessible for today's audience. And it's very, very smart. Like I think it's one of the better films that I've seen in a while.
That's cool. That's really, really
Yeah.
cool.
Thoroughly
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see, for newcomers that never watch a Wallace and Gromit film or show, do you think they're going to enjoy this too? Like, do they need to know the history about the characters in order for them to enjoy this movie?
There
or no?
are lots of references and aha moments for people who have watched Wallace and Gromit before. So I will say you will enjoy it more if you have some familiarity or you've seen one before. But it does bring you in, at the beginning, like explains what's going on. You understand the stakes, you understand the history of these characters and what they've gone through together. And it's very clear what their personalities are and how they will play off of each other in the very first scene with each character. So it's definitely newcomer friendly, but there's even more to enjoy if you're a Wallace and Gromit fan.
That's really
And I
cool.
also say there's a lot
Mhm.
to enjoy here if you're a horror fan.
Oh, really? Horror?
Yeah, I would say it's maybe one of the more horror inspired Wallace and Gromit films.
Mhm.
Because there's, a very dark, tense character. That is, I'll say, because you see it in the preview, but it's the gnome, and it's like what happens if the little robot they invented to help everybody like goes evil. And
Mm.
it's got some Chucky vibes to it, like with the little gnome turning his head
That's
around backwards.
interesting. I was not
Yeah,
expecting that. That's cool.
yeah, it's kind of cute. It's not to the point where it would scare a child, but you can
Mhm.
see the inspiration.
Yeah. What was like the one thing that stood out to you about this movie for you personally?
I would say the horror, the humor. The
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 humor.
humor of it is definitely the biggest takeaway. Like
Oh,
when
okay.
you're in an audience full of mostly strangers, right? And I'm guessing a lot of them very serious film industry critics and journalists and
Mhm.
media, and they're all laughing at a joke every 5 minutes. Like it's really fun. And I will say that it like again, it's snappy, it moved really fast, and yeah, all of the humor really landed with
That's
the
awesome.
whole group.
Yeah, and I know people are wondering why this early. I know when I read the invitation, they're playing this at a festival
Yeah, so it's at
this weekend
the AFI Fest on Sunday when
on
I hope
Sunday.
we are releasing this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's the same timing of that. That's when we could finally release the review about
Hmm.
this. Yeah, this is like the earliest I've seen for like a screening for this. Or this
Yeah,
been a
it's
couple
really
months.
far
Yeah,
ahead. And I
yeah.
know that it's interesting because I would say this could be released at any time, but I would say it's maybe the closest to Halloween themed.
Oh, I
Um
see what you're saying.
but it's
Hmm.
coming out on Netflix in January.
In
So you can
January.
enjoy this any time of year. But if you were to do like an annual watch, which, some people do with Wallace and Gromit films, I'd say this is a good October one.
No, that's good. That's really cool. Anything else, Ree? Anything else
No, I
before we
would
wrap it
say
up?
go out there and support animation. It's a tough medium and not everybody does it well. And we love to see great media in general, great content, great entertainment. And the folks from Nick Park's camp and the Wallace and Gromit team, they know what they're doing. They make really, really great films. And they're short, they're sweet, they're appropriate for everybody. And you can really enjoy this with your family around the holidays. So I hope people get a chance to check it out.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, you mean the January holidays, not December.
Yeah, around Martin
You
Luther
know.
King Day. Is that the next one in January?
After New Year's.
Watch it on Valentine's Day.
There you go. Everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Danny and Rihanna show. I hope we could do more of these where, we get early access to screenings. Maybe, of course, we're going to continue to talk about games and everything like that. But I think it is important to talk about stuff that's not games. So I think this is cool that we got this
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we started this additional channel, right? Because, between the two of us, we have what, 3 shows now or 3 channels now. And,
Mhm.
it's important for us to be able to have these conversations with the people who we like communicating with, people we like sharing our experiences with. So
Yeah.
our audience is able to get a little different flavor of what we do here. It's not just about games. And yeah, sometimes we talk about other media.
Other stuff, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, everyone. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other favorite podcast app out there. Just look up the Danny and Rihanna show. Make sure to share it with your friends and spread the word. I think it will help us to get a whole new audience. And also comment. Please send us feedback about this episode and other episodes, and we'll read it out loud here in a future recording. For us here. Anything else, Ree? You good?
That's it.
That's
Go
it.
check out my socials if you want to see what the Netflix offices look like in LA. And yeah, let me know what you think.
All right. Until next time, everyone. We're out. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.